Time defending Iroc champ Mark Martin, an early exit on lap 10. And in one of the wildest rides we've ever seen, perennial Outlaws champ Steve Kinser got up and over, but climbed out bruised, but okay. 2004 Iroc champ Matt Kenseth came from back to front, took the checkered and the early point lead. Round 2 in Texas with Kenseth, Stewart, and Truex all in the back. Deja vu all over again. Bam! Steve Kinser up and over for the second time in 2 races. Previously 0 for 13 at Texas, Tony Stewart got the checkered flag and got to climb the flag stand. Now it's been 14 years since Iroc competed on a road race course. This is 1991 at Watkins Glen, where Rusty Wallace emerged as winner and champion. Tonight, Iroc returns to where it all began back in 1974 on the Daytona road course, where Mark Donohue was crowned race winner and inaugural champ. Sport's fastest all-star race is ready to take the green next on Speed. They're on track on the first of their 2 pace laps, the 12 brightly painted racers of Crown Royal Iroc 30. Returning to where it all began, the season's finale of Iroc 1 held on the Daytona International Speedway road course, now lengthened slightly by a chicane, a shortened up horseshoe from what they saw then. But this will really test the mettle, and the metal, the sheet metal that is. Matt Kenseth leads Tony Stewart by 9 points, Ryan Newman by 18. Truex, Kimmel, Mark Martin, who's got to get going if he's to clinch yet another Crown Royal Iroc crown and the $1 million that goes with it. Racing for bragging rights back in the back, and we turn things around for the starting lineup. Larry McReynolds, Jeff Hammond with me. I'm Mike Joy. Welcome to Daytona under the lights, road race style. And the biggest question is, does this give the road course ringers, the road runners, an advantage, or at least bring them equal to the stock car stars?
Well, I think when I look at a lot of the road race ringers, like Mac Pappas, Scott Sharp, Max Angelelli, you know, it's going to be tough for them to win this Iroc championship. And when you finish 2nd through 12th, it means absolutely nothing. So what they can salvage is win an Iroc race, and it could very well happen here tonight.
Jeff, racing on a road course, different, as these Nextel Cup drivers found out a week ago. But how about racing on a road course at night?
Again, the degree of difficulty just went up a whole lot. And for guys like Steve Kinser, Frank Kimmel, I mean, it's going to be a very unique experience. I'm sure they're going to be very intimidated. Our pole sitter, Ted Musgrave, what's it going to be like diving off in this first turn? All these guys put a lot of pressure on them from rows 2s and 3s, where the road course aces are coming from. So I think we're looking at something totally different here tonight, and it's going to be exciting right from the drop of the green flag.
Let's go trackside and join Matt Yoakum.
Mike, when you look back to the final row, Matt Kenseth and Tony Stewart now both have a lot of success here at Daytona. Both have won on the oval. Back in February, Kenseth won the Iroc round 1. Stewart won 1 year ago in his Nextel Cup entry. Now both know it's going to be exciting going into turn 1. There's so much experience in this field, but now it's a level playing field like you heard Stewart say before. But the one big concern going into turn 1 on the first lap, especially flat spotting tires. Just about every driver in this field flat spotted at least once during practice their tires. So they know they've got to take it very easy on the opening laps. In fact, Iroc President Jay Signori also reminded the drivers to ride your brake on the pace laps, to get some heat in those brakes, so when they go diving off into turn 1, they have enough brakes to make the corner. Mike?
That's good advice. Let's have a look at the starting lineup. Inverse of the point standings. Tony Stewart out back with Matt Kenseth. They will anchor the field in its final row, row number 6. Ted Musgrave, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champ, and Steve Kinser, World of Outlaws champ. Row 1. Not a lot of road race experience in row 1.
But Steve Kinser, he's definitely taken advantage of almost every time the track has been open for practice this week.
A lot of experience here. Scott Sharp from IndyCar, Max Pappas from Grand Am, Max Angelelli from the Rolex Series and Indy 500 champ Sam Hornish. Mark Martin and ARCA champ Frank Kimmel. Row number 4. Row 5, Busch champion Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Newman from Nextel Cup. And row 6, Stewart and Kenseth. They sweep out of the infield up into turn 1. And they run turn 1 and 2 of the high bank tri-oval of the chicane in the back straightaway, which you see at the top of the diagram, the little bus stop chicane. Then they'll come around at full tilt through turns 3 and 4 of the super speedway, down the short chute, through the tri-oval, and the danger zone is right there. It's turn number 1. Now, the drivers we think have a great chance to break out right here are those with road course experience. Scott Sharp started his career in SCCA amateur racing, won in Trans Am, moved to IndyCar. Max Angelelli, Max Pappas, veteran championship road racers. Any one of these 3 could easily go to victory lane.
And as you see, Angelelli, he just climbed out of a Grand Am car about 30 minutes ago.
And I just wonder whether or not that will get him in trouble, because these cars will handle a little bit different. But everybody, I think, understands when you take, we're looking inside Matt Kenseth's car, but when you take in consideration that when they come down in this turn 1, guys, how important it is to who gets to turn 1 and how they kind of enter it. I mean, this, our race could be determined, I think, on the very first lap getting into turn 1.
Here are onboards. Matt Kenseth, Sam Hornish, Max Angelelli, and Tony Stewart will carry the onboards. Former Trans Am champ Dorsey Schrader called the Brumos Porsche 250 just minutes ago, as we look at Max Pappas as well. And we're all worried about turn 1, Dorsey. At night, turning left onto the flat of turn 1, getting through there on the pavement. What's the key to it? What do you need to avoid?
2 things you have to look out for sure is that when you get down on that flat, you have to release the brake pressure because you're losing the advantage of banking. You get down on there, it unloads the car. That's A. B is, if you're starting in the back of this group, you're 20 miles an hour faster than the front of the group is when you get to that point. You have to brake earlier and lighter because you got a longer acceleration.
And I talked to Mac Pappas. They're on low air pressure, and he said that really enhances a problem down there.
You forgot one guy, though. Mr. Iroc. Watch Mark Martin.
I'll guarantee you can go green, Mike.
Green flag. One car way down on the bottom. Angelelli makes it 4 wide. Contact.
Here we go, boys. Off in the grass.
Kinzer got hit by Pappas. Everybody's going to make it through but one.
Sam Hornish Jr., the 06 car, all the way out in the grass. We've had a lot of rain here. That grass is actually still pretty wet. But he gets going.
Now they got to break for the horseshoe, and everything stacks up again.
I believe patience has already went out the window here on lap 1.
What did you say?
Lack of.
Dorsey, that looked pretty clean for what we expected.
That's better than I expected, too. I saw everybody getting crossed up, but they worked it out. So far, we're not done with the first lap yet.
Now to the west horseshoe.
Oh, who's coming to the outside?
Stewart, 20 car.
Where'd he come from?
To front, dive bombing the outside. Trying to take Truex and Kinzer. He'll be on the inside for this final corner going up on the banking.
Now, guys, I got a chance to talk to him. Now, remember, he actually ran in the 24-hour race. He knows this race course pretty well, and he's pretty sharp as far as running a road course race. But he told me these cars are very competitive, and he wasn't worried about starting in the back.
Well, he went from 11th to 3rd, and we just now are out on the big racetrack. Now you'll actually see the draft come into play on the high bank 31-degree racetrack.
Well, Larry, excuse me, Mike, I can point out, when you talk about that, these are the same Iroc cars we saw here in Daytona. I mean, it's not a big bunch of difference. There's been a few of them replaced through some accidents, but overall, these are the same type of race cars, same style we're seeing. Look at the brake smoke going in. Tires are going to get flat spotted, guys. Oh, somebody missed his cane.
Kinzer.
And what he'll have to do, he has to give the positions back that he would have gained. He'll be able to get going here again.
Back to the pits to get new tires.
Truex
Jr.
and Stewart emerge from that cloud of smoke entering the bus stop.
And Dorsey, make sure we understand how easy that is to kind of like lose sight and depth perception. I mean, we're racing at night, and these guys are not used to that. Come in there and get hard on the brakes. You can flat spot tires so easy.
It's actually a lot easier to do it, Jeff, on that end of the racetrack on that bus stop. That's where you're really braking hard, and it's very dark over in that corner, more so than it is in turn 1.
Tony Stewart did a masterful job of out-braking the number 8 and taking the spot from Truex, 3rd place. Let's ride with Angelelli. into the Pedro Rodriguez horseshoe, 180-degree right.
Car looked almost like it kind of pushed out on him a little bit, and he had to grab her again.
Well, he had help.
Yeah, I see where it push come from now, from behind.
Scott Sharp.
Very busy through the infield course, though. I talked to Max Pappas, about 15 shifts a lap in the infield road course.
Look at those brakes glow on those cars as they go in that turn. Where are you going, Martin?
Just remember, it's not unusual for those brakes to glow because they're carbon brakes.
Steve Kinzer is on
there's those
pit road.
4 tires, Dorsey.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Oh, look at these tire guys. Right in there behind the shot, if you can get back there, just so as you can see that a lot of damage right there, Max. To the tires right there, Matt.
Jeff, he locked him up. He flat spotted the right front tire about the length of the back straightaway. He also commented to the Iroc crew chief Jim Meister on the radio that he has no brakes, the pedal all the way to the floor. And you were talking about the carbon fiber brakes, the same material the Audis used to win with just recently at Le Mans.
Single file into the bus stop. Angelelli has got a mirror full of Scott Sharp and Mark Martin.
And you know, guys, what we need to remind the viewers, this is a very short race, 20 laps. And the big thing, no matter what kind of lead Max has, at lap 12, we're going to have a competition caution, bunch him up again.
Mad Max in front of trucking champ Ted Musgrave. Speed's coverage of the Crown Royal Iroc Series is presented by Crown Royal. Be a champion, drink responsibly. 2 laps complete. Max Pappas leading from Ted Musgrave. You ride with Matt Kenseth, who came across the line in 11th place last time by.
He hasn't made up a lot of ground right now as far as he's concerned. But again, you know, he's also not been what you call touted as a pretty good road racer. He struggled at places like Infineon as well as Watkins Glen. So I'm not totally surprised he's having a little bit of trouble right now as we watch Tony Stewart putting some pressure on the 16 car, Matt Pappas, for first place.
For the lead. Stewart has been out braking everybody, really working on braking under control. Pappas squirrels it up, holds the lead.
I think he started looking up in that rearview mirror and seeing that orange number 20 coming his way.
2 things we've not seen on Iroc cars: headlights and brake lights.
You see them glowing right there as they go around the turn, but you'll see them really light up here as they get ready to come through this third and fourth turn into turn 1.
Like this view.
And just remember, with Tony Stewart taking the lead here in the 20 car,
but
Max Pappas
Max said,
At the line, Pappas by half a car length.
Be ugly.
But now here it goes into turn 1. This is where Stewart has been so strong, is getting into these corners. But remember, Stewart comes in here second in the points, and he's only 9 points behind Matt Kenseth, the leader. And right now, as you pointed out, Kenseth back in 10th position. And don't forget all the bonus points. You get the bonus points for laps led, 5, 3, and 2. So this is important for Stewart to lead these laps.
Like I said, I'm kind of blown away, guys. I know Tony Stewart is a great driver. I know he's a very, very good road racer. Can you believe he came from the back of the pack and drove by not only fellow competitors from the NASCAR circuit, but a lot of these road racers.
You put wheels on a cockroach and he'll win with it.
And hey, I believe you, man. You just sold me on that.
Show you what happened earlier to Matt Kenseth.
Hello, Newman in the 12 car.
Oh! Goodbye, Newman.
Remember me? Oh, but he spun himself.
Took them both out.
Yeah.
Frank Kimmel went by.
That's 2 Frank got.
Yeah, right.
Hey, you get them any way you can.
Most of the cars I passed were stopped, but it still counted.
Hey, remember the points, Mike. I mean, that's the thing right now that Matt Kenseth needs to be worried the most about, is trying to get back up here where he can score some points.
And right now, Kenseth is about 13.5 seconds behind our leader, Max Pappas, as we're coming to lap 4.
I love seeing the brake lights on these cars. I mean, you get such a good indication, other than watching the nose drop, of who's doing what and how drivers are trying to work with what they've got here.
To me, that's what impressed me so much watching Tony Stewart and Max Pappas race down through this front straightaway into turn one a minute ago is how much further Tony Stewart drove back by those guys getting down in there. I just couldn't believe how much he outbroke Max.
Kenseth looking under Newman again.
Now Newman comes in here third in the points. So he's battling with the points leader.
So Kenseth comes up to 8th if Newman lets him have the corner.
Ooh, he didn't.
Which he does. Finally. Remember, the pavement is your friend.
Yes, it is. Stay on the asphalt.
That's right.
And stay straight.
But Larry, that's the same thing the crew chiefs were telling these drivers a week ago at Infineon. So you would think, like, well, we had a little test program out there in California that coming here to Florida, well, it'd be kind of easy to do.
You would think.
You would think.
Tony Stewart leads Max Pappas by 1 second as Stewart is putting on a road racing clinic under the lights. Tony Stewart expands his lead over Max Pappas, who's on trackside tomorrow night.
We've got the show of Casey's. We're going to have Casey Mears. We're going to have Casey Kane. We're going to have Jamie McMurray. And a man named Hackman is going to saw a car in half. Go figure.
Hackman?
Hackman. Get it?
I'm afraid so. How about Stewart? If you want to learn to road race, watch Tony Stewart's line down into turn number 1. As you watch his battle for third, Angelelli and Scott Sharp, 2 veteran road racers, side by side. Hard on the brake. Makes the first apex, lets the car come out a little bit, makes the second apex, brakes aglow, just barely runs out of pavement, uses all there is and no more.
And when you're out front like that, you can run your own race and you can run your own groove.
Max Pappas is still about 1 second back. Angelelli 1.8. Scott Sharp on his bumper. Mark Martin 2.6. And then it's a ways back to Musgrave, Hornish, Kenseth, rest of the field.
But as you can see out in front of Tony Stewart, the little green car, Steve Kinser, the 11, he's back out there. He's on the lead lap right now with 4 fresh tires. As you can see, he's about to go a lap down. We're still about 7 laps away from the competition caution.
That will happen at the conclusion of lap 12 out of the 20 laps total.
4 tires, no adjustments, and then we'll get after for 8 more laps.
Third place is the battle. Angelelli and Sharp just about nose to tail. They've been that way for a while. It's as if Scott Sharp is stalking Angelelli, not being in a rush to use up his stuff.
You know, one thing we didn't talk about, speaking of using up your stuff, we got a battle right down the back straightaway. A lot of tire smoke right there off the 08 car of Sharp. I heard the guys hitting the red limiter, Larry, and we didn't talk much about the fact that you could possibly create problems by missing a shift or really hitting the engine hard. So that's something these guys could get themselves in trouble with if we're not paying attention.
Well, as I mentioned, the upshift and downshift in a total of about 15 times per lap. But, Mike, there is not another road course on earth like this. You've got an infield part of the road course that's almost off-cambered. Then you're out there on 31 degrees of banking racing.
It's a very interesting track to try to prepare a car for because, as you say, look at this. Most of the turns are just dead flat. And the road racers pretty much treat the banking of the NASCAR track as a straightaway, not so much as a corner.
And we see right here that Scott Sharp in the 08, the car we're looking at right there, the headlights, he has caught Max Pappas. Now this will be a battle for second.
Not a lot of passing zones here. Going into the 2 horseshoes are about your only opportunities to make a clean pass. Now they're coming through the left-hand kink, which is not quite flat, and now they're going into the west horseshoe.
Tell you though, our second through about 5th or 6th place, you can throw a blanket over these guys about 6.5 laps into this race. There you see the whole wad of them right there.
Great race right there. Angelelli maybe holding him up just a little bit. Now they're strung out just a bit. We'll see if Sharp can make the pass on Pappas. that he made on Angelelli a lap ago at the same place, entering the chicane. Here he goes. Couldn't do it. Matt?
Mike, the pavement and the brake pedal is your friend if you're on the racetrack right now. Now, Jay Sauter, Iroc test driver, told me they tried to abuse the brakes in testing. They learned the harder they used them, the better they were and the better they lasted. So they told the drivers, just beat on the brakes as much as you want. We expect those wheels to be just jet black from brake dust when they pit at lap 12.
Well, that's called carbon brakes. It's like you said, Jeff, at the top of the show.
Whoa! Scott Sharp to the inside. He's got company. Mark Martin comes with him on Pappas, and Angelelli comes through. Angelelli comes all the way through and passes Martin on the inside. Bold move. But Marty's going to get Sharp.
Mark Martin knows this is a make-or-break race. He goes down through the grass here, through the S's in the infield course.
Max Angelelli from the back of that pack to the front of it. Surprising, I think, everybody.
In about 2 corners.
Oh, we got a little trouble. Scott Sharp got off the track back there, guys. Almost lost control. It was Max Pappas got loose right there at 16.
Now he's under fire from Mark Martin in the 6th car.
7 laps complete. Tony Stewart now has a 3-second lead over all this infighting for second. Brakes aglow as they go to the chicane. That's Scott Sharp and Max Angelelli. They've swapped spots yet again. This is the 28th road course race in the 119 race history of Iroc. Al Unser Jr., the all-time road course winner, ahead of Mark Donohue and Cale Yarborough. That's a pretty impressive list right there.
Yes, it is. And you see Mark Donohue there. His son, David Donohue, was a big person that played a role in developing the setup for these cars here at the road course.
Matt?
David Donohue, Mike, gave Iroc a great baseline to start out with, which they didn't really venture much from. In fact, he picked up 4 seconds from the lap times that Dave Marcus and Jay Sauter were running, really helping to refine this package for the Iroc cars on the road course.
Iroc president Jay Signori used to race with and against Mark Donohue in SCCA competition early in their careers.
Well, after talking to several of the drivers, I think the job that all the test drivers did with the Iroc series, getting these cars prepared, they are just tickled to death because they felt like they've got them very well balanced. And we're talking about the brakes in particular, how good it is, how important that is. As Ted Musgrave finds himself on pit road, I wonder if he flat spotted a tire right there, Larry.
And what they'll do, they have a number of tires that has a bunch of different number of laps on them. They'll put tires on there comparable to what came off.
All right, they found some kind of problem on the one car. You see the crew member back in the back saying, hey, cut it off. We got some kind of problem. That's terminal.
Now Mark Martin, you see him up there in the 6th car. He just went by Max Pappas. That's a battle for 4th position. So Mark Martin is trying to get to the front here with about 4 laps to go before that competition yellow.
And that will even everything up. Stewart right now has a 4-second lead on Scott Sharp and Max Angelelli. Matt?
Major issues, Mike, for Ted Musgrave. Rear brake caliper problems. He's done.
I would say he is. You can see the gentlemen of Brembo Racing, they're the ones that supplied all of the brakes because the brakes really had not been updated on these Iroc cars since mainly they run speedways since they were last at Watkins Glen at the road course race you were talking about, Mike.
Look at the lead that Tony Stewart has built over Scott Sharp, who arguably has as much road course experience as anyone in this field.
And that'll be the points awarded when we get the competition yellow at lap 12, but we can't also remember about the laps led bonus points. For leading the most laps, you'll get 5. The car that leads the 2nd most points will get 3, and the one that leads the 3rd most will get 2. So Tony Stewart, he's trying to accomplish somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 bonus points. Remember, he came in here 9 behind Matt Kenseth, so those bonus points could be important.
We saw a graphic early on about the fact we see a battle right there back in latter part of the field here between Pappas and looks like maybe the 6th car, Mark Martin. But Larry, we talked about the point deal. Right now, if this race was over with, which we know it's not, we would have a new point leader, and he would actually take the lead over Matt Kenseth. Still got a long ways to go, and I think that restart after that competition caution is going to be just as exciting as it was the start of the race.
Fourth place at stake here as Stewart's lead. Sharp has him at 3.6 seconds. And remember, it all goes away at lap 12 when they have the competition caution.
And as we talked at the top of the show, Mark Martin comes in here 6th in the points, 21 points behind leader Matt Kenseth. He knows, 5-time Iroc champion, won that $1 million last year. This is a make or break race for him.
Guys, look at the left front corner of Max Pappas's car. You can see the bottom valence has been knocked off. Now, we saw him get kind of out of control through the inner course and chicane area earlier, and I think that's when he tore that up. And it may affect him through some of the banking of this race car, especially as you come down and carrying a lot of speed, I think, down into turn 1 as well as the backstretch chicane.
And you can see Mark Martin trying to get by him here on the big oval part of the racetrack, outbreak him possibly. Looks like he'll make the pass before they get to turn 1.
Martin makes the pass on Max Pappas to retake 4th place.
He's been losing positions, Larry. I've got to believe that that damage to the front of that car is not helping.
Kenseth and Newman battling Martin Truex, and they've been side by side ever since turn 2 all the way around here to the infield.
Those guys have been stuck together, I think, ever since they spun each other out.
I was going to say, Kenseth and Newman, they've been just like this since the drop of the green flag.
Little yellow paint on Newman's nose as Tony Stewart leads by 3.5 seconds with 10 laps complete.
One grateful
Sunday on Speed, get blasted into the wind tunnel with Dave Despain. Get fired up and fill Dave's voicemail at 1-866-W-TUNNEL this weekend. The more animated you are, the more you'll be heard.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. Wind tunnel, Dave Despain.
Caution is on
Eastern.
the speedway. Now this is at lap 11.
Mark Martin, we're told that Mark spun. Now there he is with Max. Correction, Sam Hornish, the 06 is the car that spun. And just
a little too hot through the bus stop, through the chicane, just gets away from them. Remember, these cars, they've been out there for 11 laps. These old tires are getting worn. This is a fairly soft tire. It's the Richmond right side tire all the way around.
And Larry, looking, it looked like he may have lost a brake duct when the car spun around. I don't think it will hurt his performance, but again, you know, you don't need to be kind of flat spotting these tires that much more. I mean, they've worn pretty well already, so he needs to be careful, make sure he doesn't blow a tire out and wind up tearing his car up.
now what we were told from the drivers' meeting was that if a yellow flag occurred within 2 laps of the scheduled competition yellow, that's lap 12, and we're working lap 11, that this would be the competition yellow, that the service would occur. However, the bonus points will not be awarded until the 3rd green flag lap after we resume racing, 3rd consecutive green lap.
And remember, our restarts are double file, and what's interesting, it's the choose format. Like when we go back out there, Tony Stewart can choose inside lane, outside lane, and every car behind him can choose. So you could actually have a guy in 5th or 6th start on the outside of the front row.
Right, if nobody else went to the outside, that's your option. Rarely do we see that.
Rarely. Because you want to be on the inside, I think, going into turn 1.
Larry, I think you'd rather be on the outside to get the right angle down into that turn, but you're giving up the inside, you're asking for somebody to use your tires to make it.
Just like we saw in the beginning, and remember the old theory? 8 tires are better than 4.
Right, they corner better, yes, sir. Max Pappas led the first 3 laps. Tony Stewart has led from there on. Sam Hornish spins to put us under caution. this will be the competition yellow. The cars will come down pit road and halt. The first 2 cars in line will be the first 2 to be serviced. When they pull away, the Iroc pits will be busy again, 2 by 2.
One thing I was going to point out, Mike, if you'll notice, the rear wheels are silver. The front wheels are black.
That's from the brake.
That's from the brake dust. They actually turn completely black because of all the brake dust right there that comes off.
Pretty much every car will get 4 fresh tires, no adjustments on the race car, no air pressure adjustments. Everyone will get the same tires with the same air pressure put back on there. The only thing these drivers can adjust inside the car is they can't adjust the front and rear brake bias. They did give them a knob to do that.
A little extra work going on Max Pappas's car, Matt.
The drivers can talk to Iroc officials, and Mad Max telling Iroc that he has an issue with his shifter. The shifter ball apparently has come off, so they're going to take the shifter ball off of Ted Musgrave's car, which has retired from the event, pass it through the window, so Max can put that on the shifter. He also wants him to take a look at the front valence, Mike, which you documented earlier from his little off-course excursion.
But guys, if he has the work done on the front and comes back in for that, he will probably have to give up his start position if they make repairs, if I'm not mistaken.
Right now he's being scored in the 5th position in the 16 car. There you see Matt Kenseth, our points leader, coming in here. The 17 car right now scored in the 7th spot.
We used to occasionally see somebody come into the pits holding the whole shift lever out the hand. Not in Iroc, but
I watched Tim Richmond do that on a few occasions.
Wasn't he the one that came in and they gave him a pair of vice grips? He put it back on and clamped it and went out and ran some of the race?
It beat the alternative.
Yeah.
Nothing, parking.
So this is the pit stop at the competition yellow. 5th place, Max Pappas. And 6th place, Sam Hornish. Now Matt Kenseth in 7th. Getting a new set of tires for the final 9 laps. You're watching Crown Royal Iroc 30 on Speed. Of the Crown Royal Iroc Series is presented by Crown Royal. Be a champion. Drink responsibly. Tony Stewart has performed like a champion. He has led 8 of the 11 laps scored so far after Max Pappas led the first 3. Nice Thursday night crowd in Daytona with a lot of action to follow on the weekend. NASCAR Busch Series Friday night and Nextel Cup with the Pepsi 400 on Saturday night. Home of the Rolex 24-hour sports car race, one of only 2 in the world for Major League Racing. The other just concluded at Le Mans, France. And a little different atmosphere and ambiance than exists here in Central Florida.
And we were told earlier tonight to get the effect of the cars with the headlights and the taillights and the brake lights, they light the speedway at about 40%, where the fans can still enjoy seeing the cars and identifying them.
Here's Matt.
Mike ARCA champion Frank Kimmel, the last driver to be serviced on pit road. He has issues with his front valence. Now you can see an Iroc crew member crawling through the passenger window. The issues for Mad Max, the stud is broken on the gear shifter, so they can't put a new ball on the shifter. So they were going to try to tape it up, so that way it wouldn't cause issues for his hand. But Max was feverishly telling Jace Ignore that the ball is broken and they were just going to have to tape it.
Well, the way I see it, we have about 9 or 10 laps to go at 15 shifts a lap. That's about 150 more shifts he's going to have to make with that stop sticking up there.
Well, but I like the idea. What they're trying to do is you tape the thing up like you do a hockey stick. Keep putting enough tape on it, you'll have something to hang on to.
Exactly.
That won't drill a hole in your palm.
That's the main thing. We've seen a lot of drivers, including Jeff Gordon, who actually tapes the palm of his hand up when he runs in Finion so he can keep putting blisters on there.
Here's what they had to do to the Crown Royal Iroc racers to adapt them for the right and left turns of road course racing. A short throw shifter, rear sway bars, moving the battery to the right side, new front suspension pieces, different carburetors adding about 100 horsepower, special film on the inside of the windshield, and of course the obvious head and tail lights.
And like Jeff mentioned, these are the same race cars that we watched here on the full oval in February, and we saw these same cars at Texas. These guys, and there's only 20 full-time Iroc employees, they had to turn 17 cars around since we were at Texas. And also remember, we tore a lot of cars up here in February and a lot of cars at Texas. They had to deal with that as well as make these modifications, and then they have to turn them around again back to the oval for the 4th race of Iroc this year at Atlanta.
And on top of that, Larry, if you didn't notice a minute ago, those guys have just got through changing tires on 11 of these Iroc cars and pretty much a record time getting everything done, and they're all huffing and puffing. And there's the senior leader of this group there, Jason Nori. Just does an awesome job. I mean, he's a great person to begin with, but he's a great leader also as far as this whole team making everything work so flawlessly.
He is the captain of the ship.
12 cars started. 1 is behind the wall. Ted Musgrave. We're getting ready to restart. Ten laps have been completed in round 3 of Crown Royal Iroc 30. Tony Stewart, Scott Sharp, Max Angelelli are in the bonus point positions, but they'll have to hold them for 3 laps. That's when the bonus points will be doled out. 3, 2, 1 for the drivers running first, second, third.
It's going to be interesting to watch Mark Martin now in that 6 car. Right now he's scored in the 4th position. We've been talking about him a lot. The reigning Iroc champion knows this is a make or break race. I've got a feeling he's going to try to make a move quickly on this restart.
Well, I think that's the key thing right now as we take a look at guys like Frank Kimmel is back here in the back along with Matt Kenseth. All of these guys, if they're going to make a run for this win or try to get up there in that 2nd or 3rd position and score some valuable points, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to kind of like throw caution to the wind. We're halfway through this race. You've got an idea what your car is going to do and how much harder you can run it. And I always wonder who's been laying back. Has Kenseth been laying back a little bit, or is he and Ryan Newman just been kind of like, well, hung up with each other, not going to make it up any further? Going to be real interesting as far as these final 10 laps.
You'll see Frank Kimmel in his element when Speed airs the ARCA race Sunday at 3 p.m. after Formula One. Matt?
Mike, Iroc officials in the tower told the drivers on the driver's frequency that the start-finish line is where you start. Some drivers were jumping the start a little bit on a previous restart, so they all got a warning. And they also told Tony Stewart, turn your headlights back on.
Well, right now, the only person that would see him coming would be the pace car.
1 to go.
Yeah, I will say the start of this race was a little ugly because Angelelli, if you remember, he kind of dropped to the bottom. I'm almost a little surprised they didn't call that start off and do it again.
Recently, Matt Kenseth, the Nextel Cup winner at Dover, Martin Truex, a Busch victory at Talladega, and Mark Martin won a Craftsman truck race in Dover, and that's just lately. Max Angelelli, Rolex winner at Laguna Seca, Sam Hornets Jr., the Indy 500 and the Richmond IRL race, and Frank Kimmel at Winchester in the ARCA series. Let's show you the start once again. Watch the blue number 10, Angelelli, peeking out. Here he goes.
That was not real pretty of a start at all.
And look at all that fiberglass grinding down into turn 1. It's not all that pretty either.
Max Pappas, he was going to make something happen in that 16 car.
He got kind of hung into there, Larry, and I think he did a really good job of not losing it. Hornish got pushed off the course. It was as eventful as we thought it was going to be.
Matt?
Larry, Mac, you touched on it perfectly. Max Angelelli got his own warning about jumping the start at the start-finish line.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they didn't call that one off and do it again, but no harm, no foul, I guess. Right now, Angelelli in the 10 car, sitting in the 3rd spot.
Yeah, if that had been a NASCAR race, we know exactly what would have been happening.
Post the 10 car.
Post the 10 car, yep, drive through.
Ted Musgrave is out of this race, but you will see him on speed on Saturday when Kansas rumbles with the sound of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Todd Bodine, the point leader, Johnny Benson closing fast, and it airs Saturday live, 3 o'clock Eastern time.
Johnny B the man right now, 2 in a row, going for 3.
Johnny be good.
That's it. Johnny be real good.
But we're going to Kansas, remember?
Yes, Dorothy?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Click your heels, let's go.
What truck does she drive?
Just give her time.
And tell that dog to stop barking.
You see Steve Kinzer there in the 11 car, remember, had the tire issue in the first half of the race. Right now, he's in the 11th spot, 1 lap down.
I wonder what if Matt Kenseth and Ryan Newman have forgiven and forgotten. They line up side by side in row 4.
Well, right now, Matt is on the outside of Ryan, so I guess we'll find out. Ryan Newman did a really good job, I think, at Infineon last week, so we know that he can get around a road course, you know, pretty dang good. So it'll be interesting to see what he does here on this start.
Well, remember, with the lane choice, things have mixed up a little bit here. So there's Newman on the inside.
That's what I say. You got Newman on the inside, and Matt Kenseth is on the outside, so it could be exciting as we get off into turn 1 more time.
If we can get 3 consecutive green laps, we'll award those bonus points. Right now, it's Stewart, Sharp, and Angelelli. You're looking from row 3 on the outside.
Now, Stewart's also trying to wrap up the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, which I'd say he's not a long ways away from that.
He has led 7 of the 10 so far. Pappas has led 3.
So Tony would need to lead 4 more laps to lock that 5 bonus points up.
Right.
We're riding along here with Matt Kenseth. We're seeing the same thing he's seeing in front of him. So as they get ready to go off, take across the start-finish line and head down into turn 1. How you like to say it, Larry? Pull them belts tight one more time because it's going to get exciting.
Fitness going to pick up.
Green, green, green.
Matt Kenseth staying hooked right to the rear bumper of his teammate Nextel Cup, Mark Martin, in the 6 car. Let's see what happens here going off into turn 1.
Nobody jumps out of line. Stewart, big advantage.
Uh-oh. Who's off the track?
Boy, Max Pappas on that 16 car. He got about 4 or 5 spots, it looked like.
Scott Sharp paid the price. He was the first car on the outside. He got out in the loose stuff. Not as badly as Martin Truex did.
He's still trying to get problems here.
Sharp and Hornish crash. Yellow flag. I don't know if Scott Sharp maybe didn't get his tires cleaned off or what happened going down into turn 1, or he was just so high he got out in the marbles.
Well, remember what we talked about at the beginning of the race. Max Pappas had told me how ill these things drive for the first 3 corners on low air pressure, where they drop the pressure down, knowing how much the pressure they're going to build up over the course of a run. Car almost just won't turn.
So the Wilton, Connecticut road racer Scott Sharp goes from 2nd to the back of the pack, and Sam Hornish is going to need some help getting restarted. Let's have another look at it, see if we can find out what happened to Scott Sharp at turn 1.
Side by side with Stewart back at the start-finish line.
Brakes. No contact. Oh, there's contact.
In the 10 forced him off the racetrack. And then Hornish gets into the back of him. Hornish in the 06 car.
What was that
He's got to
about?
feel like there's a bullseye on that 08 car. And there's where he got back into Hornish. I know he got him back, but not on purpose, I don't think. He was going backwards.
Yeah, I wouldn't put that in the payback department. Oh, let's ride along with Sam Hornish. Oh my gosh.
See ya.
He just drilled Sharp in the middle of the straightaway.
But Sharp will be back. Oh!
Hello.
Ooh, did you hear that?
That was a sharp hit.
No pun intended.
Not at all. All right, Sam's gotten refired. He's going to come around and join the field.
He has destroyed that man's car, though.
I rock and roll.
The NASCAR.
At that time by. Here's how the point standings look based on the positions as of now. Matt Kenseth closer to Tony Stewart. Max Angelelli breaking up the Nextel Cup stranglehold on the top spots.
And remember, this series, just ask Mark Martin, $1 million to win. 2nd through 12th pays the exact same amount.
So what you're telling me, my friend, it's all or almost nothing.
I can't remember who finished 2nd last year. Can you?
Whoever finished second.
Got a lot less money than Mark Martin.
Exactly.
Martin Truex?
I believe you're right. Who won Atlanta, in fact.
Yeah. Now, interesting situation on Max Angelelli. If he wins the whole thing, I think he gets to split the $1 million. Here's Matt.
And he absolutely does, right with this man, Wayne Taylor. Now, when your man, your teammate, came down pit road, you gave him a hand signal. What was it?
Just to push like mad. He needs to get to the front. You know, this is a great opportunity for him and I, you know, sharing the car. And all through the testing, he's been quicker than everybody. So he came in third at that point, which wasn't good enough. He needs to get to the front.
And you were beating your hand against your chest. You told me that was push, push, push. Exactly. This is an interesting situation, you having a co-driver in Iroc.
Yeah, it is. I don't think they've ever done this before. And so basically what we did was we decided who was going to do what race. And I did the first one and the last one, and he did Texas difficult. And I think this is where he would do probably a better job than me, so we put him in here.
Well, Wayne was 6th here on the oval back in February. He's hoping his teammate can be first here tonight, Mike.
First time in the history of Iroc there's been, I think, team drivers, isn't it?
Yes, at the start of the season at least, because they are Grand Am co-champions, they co-drive the Iroc car. They each run 2 races. Season finale, October 28th. That'll be on Speed. And somebody will get the $1 million.
And the way these points are kind of summing up right now, it could come down to those final laps at Atlanta.
If I know Tony Stewart, this right here would be another one of those little crown jewels he'd like to add to his resume.
But now Angelelli will line up second and pulls alongside. Mark Martin moves up into the 3rd slot. Max Pappas alongside in 4th. And there is the first breakdown, and it's a real cliff after first place, as you said.
$920,000 drop.
And an $80,000 thank you for playing check for positions 2 on back. And P2 last year, Martin Truex Jr. in the Crown Royal Iroc points.
Comes in here 4th in the points, finished 5th here on the oval in February, finished 3rd at Texas, and doing triple duty here this weekend, running the Busch Series and the Nextel Cup race, as well as Iroc. He had a little off-track excursion on that restart. We saw him going through the grass in the infield.
One to go, and we'll go back under green to complete the final 10 laps of round 3 in Crown Royal Iroc 30. 10 laps complete, round 3, Crown Royal Iroc 30, just getting set to go on the restart. As they come out of NASCAR 4. Pace car looks for pit road and makes the left swing.
Now this is not a choose restart, only the one after the competition caution.
Stewart and Angelelli, the front row. Tony's got him. Here comes Mark to the inside, but Angelelli came down to cover the spot.
He squeezed in there in that 10 car. Here comes Pappas again, the 16 car, trying to make a move.
Mark Martin the inside.
Gets Angelelli. So does Pappas. Here comes Kenseth. Stewart hard on the brakes, and so is everyone else.
Oh, boy.
Single file.
Mark Martin, the 6 car, getting pretty sideways.
4. Pace car looks for pit road and makes the left swing.
Now this is not a choose restart, only the one after the competition caution.
Stewart and Angelelli, the front row. Tony's got him. Here comes Mark to the inside, but Angelelli came down to cover the spot.
He squeezed in there in that 10 car. Here comes Pappas again, the 16 car, trying to make a move.
Mark Martin the inside.
Gets Angelelli. So does Pappas. Here comes Kenseth. Stewart Stewart hard on the brakes, and so is everyone else.
Oh, boy.
Single file.
Mark Martin, the 6 car, getting pretty sideways down there in the middle of the horseshoe in the infield.
Yeah, he had a little help though from behind.
Here comes Kenseth in the 17. Angelelli in the 10, working on the back of Pappas in the 16.
Angelelli had a run on Pappas, but couldn't do it, exiting that horseshoe.
He is working that rear bumper over. It looks like he rattled his cage just enough. He's going to get by him.
Left-hander coming up to take you back up onto the oval, and they're side by side. That'll give Pappas back the advantage, and here comes Kenseth.
And he's bringing his friend Ryan Newman with him in the 12 car.
He sure is. But guys, we talked about it on this restart, how important it was to get up there and get after Tony Stewart early on.
Yeah, good luck with that.
You got to at least try, Mike.
That's right, absolutely, Jeff.
Here's Angelelli and Kenseth battling side by side. Remember, here at the end of the backstretch, you better be single file to go through the chicane or the bus stop.
Hard on the brakes, Kenseth grabs a spot. Takes Angelelli, so does Newman. And Jeff, you're absolutely right, but catching Tony Stewart and dealing with him tonight, that's going to be a tall order.
It's going to be a tall order, but otherwise all you're going to see is his taillights sailing off into the dark of the night. So, I mean, you got to get after him hard and put some kind of pressure on him. Obviously, he is just, I mean, he's just out for a joyride right now, guys.
See what Mark Martin in the 6 car can do going out into turn 1. Tony just gets down in the corner so good, like you were talking earlier. It's almost textbook road course look getting in the corner through the middle.
But Larry, I think Mark actually gained a little bit back on Tony, at least getting into turn 1 his first time by.
Newman and Angelelli traded paint. Newman's into the back of Max, going into the horseshoe, and swings wide, and Scott Sharp may have him. Not quite.
These guys are battling for the 5th, 6th position.
Sharp in 08, under fire from Truex now. That's for 7th place. Angelelli right up Kenseth's tailpipe as they come back up onto the banking.
Mike, you've raced here before. How much fun is it to come through there and start catching gears and coming up on the banking like this here at this racetrack?
In most cars, V8 power cars like this, you hold second coming up on the bank, and then you row the boat, mat it, and look for turn 3 and the bus stop at the other end. Yeah, it's fun.
You know, one thing they had to do to these Iroc cars to kind of where they get up to speed from such a low speed to a high speed, they put a much bigger carburetor on these cars. They gave them about 100 more horsepower. It went from a 390 like to a 675 CFM carburetor.
Tony Stewart leads them across. One more green flag lap, and he'll notch the 3 bonus points.
Oh, a lot of smoke right there, brake smoke, trying to get down in turn number 1.
Angelelli and Kenseth still nose to tail right there. Little kink there as they head down to the horseshoe. The Pedro Rodriguez curve.
Boy, Newman drove it down into this horseshoe that time in that 12 car.
Look at Kenseth. He gets such a good launch off the corner.
Easy in, hard off.
Guys, I'm not too sure about the easy in. I know I was watching it from up here, right across through that bus stop area, the horseshoe you call it, Mike, down inside the infield, and all those rotors on all those cars just glowing bright red getting down in there.
Sharp to the inside. Makes the pass on Newman.
And now Truex Jr. in the 8 car, he pulls up to the rear bumper of Ryan Newman in the 12.
Tony Stewart coming around to notch 3 bonus points. Tony Stewart has locked up the 3 bonus points for leading at what would have been the competition yellow. Mark Martin 2 points, Max Pappas 1, and Tony has locked up the 5 points for leading the most laps. So he's maxed out on bonus points tonight.
And for the man that came here second to points, that's a good thing. You can see right there the point standing as of now, because Kenseth, I don't think he has any bonus points tonight so far. Our points leader coming in here.
And if Stewart leads the rest of the way, they would lock out 3rd place on the lap leading bonus points. Max Pappas has led 3 laps tonight.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 8 car off in the infield.
Turn 1. Or is it the exit of the infield? Well, that's where he ended up at the exit. Yeah, it was turn 1 where he went off. You have to rejoin the course where you left it. No shortcutting around.
Way too hot. He just basically in there just way too hot. Car would not even turn.
And that grass is still very slick.
Yeah. So that's going to kick Truex Jr. in the 8 car all the way back to the 10th position. Steve Kinser in the 11. 1 lap down. Ted Musgrave out.
Hey, whoa.
Good
Hello,
night.
tire barrier.
And he's stuck. And the caution's out. For Martin Truex Jr., the NASCAR Busch Series champ.
Yeah, they're going to have to go dig him out of there.
Right.
It's almost like he had stuff on his tires and the car just never would turn when he got to that corner.
I agree with you, Larry. I don't think he ever got the tires cleaned off very good. He came in a little bit hot again and off now and found the tire barriers. And guys, you know what? Those tire barriers are a great way to decelerate a race car, but also once you get into them, you can't get out of them.
That's not the way he wanted his picture made right there, by the way.
No. When he went through the first horseshoe turn, he really wasn't back up to speed, but didn't get those tires cleaned off that way, went down the other end carrying a lot of speed, and that was that. I'll tell you who's made a nice recovery after being involved twice in the previous caution was Scott Sharp, who restarted out back and has now climbed up to the 6th position. Peeling off to pit road comes Ryan Newman.
Newman's in the 7th spot right now.
Matt?
And Larry Mack, remember we saw all that tire smoke a little earlier in the race? It was Newman. He came on the radio and said he flat spotted. He's got a little bit of damage on his front valence, but he flat spotted one of his front tires. He was inquiring what the penalty was for pitting. They told him he was going to have to go to the tail end of the line, so he hit pit road for 4 tires.
And again, since everyone has 5 laps on their tires, these tires they will put on there roughly have somewhere in the neighborhood of 4, 5, 6 laps on them.
But I think that was a good move by Ryan because, again, these tires can blow out. We're still running around here on the banking. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So I think it was a good call on his part. And you can see that they're working right now trying to pull one of the brake ducts off the car.
Hey, man, looks like he's been out in the agriculture.
Absolutely. He took the agricultural route there. Also broke the front fender brace. And Larry Mack and Jeff, how much of a problem could that end up being when he gets out on the banking and also going down the high-speed backstretch?
A lot, Matt, because the way these cars are set up with the little wickers out on the left on both front fenders to make front downforce to make grip as you turn off of these turns. If it's not working properly, it's going to make the car, you know, feel really bad to him. So again, getting a chance to come down pit road, make those repairs, get the tires changed. It should be a good move as far as Ryan Newman is concerned. It'll be interesting to see how he works his way back up through the field.
Caution laps do not count. They will pull Martin Truex out of the tire wall. And then we'll resume. Jason Leffler joins the gang on trackside tomorrow night, along with all those Caseys and the usual suspects.
Hey, I resemble that tomorrow.
11:30 Eastern Time.
I'm still anxious about the man that calls himself Hackman. He's going to saw a car in two in less than 2 minutes with one of the new Lennox saw blades or something.
Oh, I thought it was going to be, like a trick question, be a Yugo or something. Something that just, falls apart on its own.
I guess he saws houses in two, airplanes, cars.
I know an author VR game named Pac-Man, but I've never heard a guy named Hackman. Oh?
Does it for a living, too.
Matt Kenseth doing it for a living. He is in 5th place right now, trying to hold on to the point lead, which is going to be tough to do now that Tony Stewart has locked up all the bonus points and is leading this race with no sign of being passed. However, right on Stewart's tail, Iroc's all-time race winner and champion Mark Martin, who needs a big run here tonight to keep his title hopes alive, and Mad Max Pappas, who sits 3rd and led the first 3 laps of this race.
And I talked to Max this morning. We talked for a long time, and he says, I have took advantage of every time the racetrack has been open. He said, yeah, I've been trying to learn as much as I can about these Iroc cars, but he said it's fun. It's like having an all-day pass at the amusement park, being able to run this Iroc car around this road course.
And Larry, I talked to him later on, I guess, in the day, and he was telling me they're working pretty hard right now to get him an opportunity to go to Watkins Glen and run possibly a Busch North car as well as a Busch car, and possibly he may wind up driving Kenny Wallace's Furniture Road car, the number 78 up there, if he gets that opportunity. So he's working really hard to try to get some more seat time in bigger cars.
Guess we're going to have one more lap of caution. And now the light is out on top of the safety car. All the way down through the gears here to 2nd gear. Keeping a tight line to the inside, right where Stewart is right now, just against that curb, to keep the traffic behind. Let the car sweep out a little bit. Here's a look at the standings. Points awarded in each race. Now Tony Stewart has already locked up the 2 big bonuses, that one and that one. 8 points total for leading the most laps and for being first 3 consecutive laps, or the 3rd consecutive lap under green after the caution flag. So here's how the points would look. Stewart would be 10 points up on Matt Kenseth with only 1 race remaining, and Mark Martin 3rd.
I think right now, when you think about what's going on with Matt Kenseth, he needs to get up there in 4th or 3rd and try to minimize the damage as far as going into Atlanta in that final race. So I think his mission right now, when they drop this green flag, is figure out some way to get around Angelelli as well as Pappas and see if he can get a little closer, maybe even to Mark Martin.
What may work in his favor, both Pappas and Angelelli have been very aggressive in their passing moves. Some have paid off, and on some they've paid the price.
Especially on a restart going off into turn 1. That's where it's been very aggressive, and you just saw the points there. Matt Kenseth, he knows what it feels like to win that $1 million. He won it in 2004. He was the 2004 champion. We talked about Mark Martin. He knows what it feels like. He won it last year. I'm sure Tony Stewart would love to share that feeling.
Again, I think that's something, the money's great, but I think the fact that he would be an Iroc champion would be more important to Tony Stewart than even the money. But one part of that equation, we talk about the 17 car and what he needs to do. There's a spoiler sitting back there, I think, in the 6th position in Scott Sharp. That's going to be putting a lot of pressure on him on this restart. We've seen Scott make some pretty daring moves early on also.
And we saw him get dumped.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, but he's fought his way back to 6th place. And I agree, he will be a factor before this is over.
He's got a fast race car. I mean, he has run the fastest lap here tonight during the course of this race. So he has a fast race car.
But you're right, Mike. Road 2 on this restart, it's going to be exciting. Max Pappas in the 16 on the inside, Angelelli in the 10 car on the outside. Keep the cameras rolling, boys.
Mad Max and Madder Max.
Looking inside of Pappas's car with his refurbished gear shift.
But I just think when you look at Max Pappas, just remember, last week he ran the 24-hour Le Mans. He ran the Indy 500, and here he is at Daytona, the birthplace of speed, trying to win an Iroc race.
That's a pretty good month or so, 5 weeks or so.
Telling somebody to close it up here.
Close up. Work with me here.
Now let's go.
Now Matt Kenseth in the 17 will be starting behind him.
Yeah, he's telling Matt, come on, give me a little push down through here. Let's go get him.
So on the inside, Stewart, Pappas, Kenseth. On the outside, Martin, Angelelli, and Sharp. 5, make that 6 laps to go.
And guys, if you're Tony Stewart, you got to hope that nobody kind of like overshoots the corner and drives up your exhaust pipes.
Let's see what that car on the outside can do. Mark Martin in that 6 car.
Pappas is all over Tony Stewart going down this front straightaway.
He is not going to open the door for no one as they head off into turn 1. In fact, Mark Martin's going to try to squeeze in the 3rd place in front of Matt Kenseth.
Kenseth 4th.
And marks around, so's Matt.
The racetrack is just about blocked. Kenseth in the 17, Angelelli in the 10, Mark Martin in the 6. They all get their cars going, so we will stay green.
And guys, this is exactly what Kenseth didn't need, and neither did Mark Martin. Big hit in the points.
But look at the restart. Max Pappas, Scott, he is right there, wheel to wheel, a car length apart from Tony Stewart.
He's going after Stewart, guys. I'm telling you right now, he's going to make a challenge right here on this restart. It may be short-lived, but he's at least giving it a game effort.
And Mike, you've been talking about the recovery of Scott Sharp. That's going to put him in the 3rd spot in that 08 car.
Yeah, he drove right through the melee at turn 1. Here's another look at it down into turn 1. Oh boy. Martin was on the brake to keep from getting into Pappas and got hit by Kenseth and Angelelli around.
Yeah, just stacked up behind him from there.
It almost looked like Angelelli got in the back of Kenseth, who got in the back of Martin like a domino effect.
And so on and so on and so on. Let's see what Sam Hornish saw. Sharp on the outside, little bump.
Hornish is the one that got in the back of Angelelli in the 10 car.
Stewart comes by the lead, the 15th lap.
But as you said, Jeff, Matt Pappas in that 16, he is not going to give up here. We'll have 5 laps to go. This is probably about as hard as Stewart has had to run this car since he took the lead.
Now Ryan Newman is 3rd. Sam Hornish is 4th. Scott Sharp 5th. Martin Truex in 6th. Then Kimmel, Angelelli, and Kenseth, and Mark Martin all the way back to 10th.
And Stewart has been a very busy man. He's pulling triple duty here. He didn't run the Grand Am race, but every time the track has been open for Busch Series practice or Nextel Cup, he's been out there running all day long. Tell you what, it's a nice recovery by Scott Sharp and Sam Hornish Jr. back there in the 4th spot. Both of those guys involved in a big accident not too many laps ago.
But one of the guys that's been avoiding a lot of issues tonight and was involved in one early on. How about Ryan Newman? Once again, in 3rd place here, just kind of making a nice smooth run here on the road course at Daytona. We'll say it again, guys. Max Pappas is doing a really good job of keeping pace with Tony Stewart. Tony's not been able to really get away from him.
Pappas trying to become the 5th driver not born in the United States to win an Iroc race. His father-in-law, Emerson Fittipaldi, was the 1st.
Stewart beats him out of the bus stop, out of the chicane, getting back up on the banking in turn 3. That seems to be the one place that Tony in the 20 car has a little advantage. Now we're seeing a little moving back and forth, trying to break that draft on him down the front stretch through the trial. 4 to go.
Max is using that draft to close it back up, guys.
And Stewart Matt, I think you noticed earlier, Stewart is later on the brake to turn 1 than anybody.
Mike, the entire race, he's about 50 to 75 feet deeper into the corner before he hits his brake, and the brake lights, the telltale sign for the entire field.
Tony Stewart just ran his fastest lap of the race, as did Ryan Newman, Sam Hornish, and Scott Sharp.
And I wonder why.
Business is picking up.
Business is picking up. It's time to go. And like I say, that was almost the fastest lap there also for the 16 car of Pappas. I mean, he is right there in Tony's tire tracks.
Tony gets off that part of the racetrack up into the banking, just like over in turn 3. He just gets up to speed a little bit better than Max Pappas in the 16 car.
Pappas is going to have to hope to close on Stewart under braking for the bus stop. Now they have quite a lead, 2 seconds on third place Ryan Newman.
And it's easy to close up getting in the corner, but what goes in the corner has to come out. That's the problem.
Going back on board with Pappas. Let's listen to him, guys, and see if we can pick up anything maybe this is where Tony's kind of beating him at. Coming up through the gears, out of the bus stop.
All the way from second gear up to high gear.
And he's closing. It's only about 3 car lengths.
It's like that draft is really bringing him back to Tony one more time.
He's there.
Watch the brake light on Stewart's car. All the way there.
Watch him get down into turn 1. See, Max almost had to roll out because he ran up on Tony so fast.
Larry, I think he's giving him turn 1. He doesn't want to force that confrontation there. Not still with 3 laps to go. Very conservative entry to that corner for Pappas. Now he shoves it in hard into the horseshoe. Lugs it off the corner. Uh-oh.
Scott Sharp
had a little trouble getting into the horseshoe.
He's had a very eventful night. Last time by start-finish line, he came by in the 5th position.
I don't think he lost a spot during that. I think he's still 5th. 3rd and 4th heating up between Newman and Hornish as well. But this is for the win right here. 2.5 laps to go.
You can see how equal the cars are on the racetrack, and you can see it in the miles per hour down there. And it's been that way for about the last 2 or 3 laps.
Tony's been able to do something coming off both these corners there, Larry, either through, downshifting or doing something just a little bit different, getting back to the throttle off the exit of these corners, that he's able to outdistance Max, but Max comes back on him so quickly down these straightaways.
Because we know being identically prepared, the gearing, transmission, all that's the same in every car.
Curb hopping to get through the chicane, hard on the throttle early. Good launch by Max Pappas.
He was all the way up on the rubble strips with the entire race car.
It's a 5-car length lead for Stewart in turn 3.
It's almost like Max said, you've been beating me off this corner. I'm going to chop this corner a little bit, see if I can gain on you.
Now, this is where he gained so much on the last lap through the draft, but he was a little closer last time coming off turn 4. 2 to go.
Pappas knocks it down to 3 car lengths. Hornish has passed Newman for 3rd, and Sharp is still 5th, ahead of Truex, Kimmel, Angelelli, Martin, and Kenseth.
But a nice recovery by Sam Hornish Jr. in that 06 car.
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. He was coming into pits with the tail, the rear deck on that car all knocked down and off. The guys from Iroc did a great job repairing it and getting the new one back on.
You know, something I just noticed on Sam Hornish's car. Remember, I talked these drivers can't adjust the front and rear bias. All 4 of his rotors were glowing, where we've been watching like Tony Stewart up there. You see right there getting in the corner, Tony Stewart, Max Pappas, they have a lot more glow on the front rotors, which tells me they have more brake screwed to the front. And that can certainly change the handling of the characteristics under braking of the car.
Definitely so.
This is only the second time that Iroc has been on the road course at Daytona. It was 32 years ago when Mark Donohue outdueled Peter Revson, Bobby Unser, and David Pearson to win his third of 4 Iroc races that year.
See right there, going into the chicane, the bus stop in the backstretch, riding again with Sam Hornish, all 4 of those carbon rotors glowing.
Looked almost like the same color of his race car, bright orange.
And I would say the white down the side of the race car is turned black from brake dust.
Definitely so.
And the white is going to be the flag that's displayed this time by.
Well, about 3.5 more miles, about 15 more shifts, 1 lap around this course.
You know, it was a year ago during the Crown Royal Legends of Iroc that we talked with Mario Andretti and Jay Signori and the other Iroc folks about, hey, how about a road race? And Mario thought, of course, that would be just a fantastic idea to even things up. And the more everybody talked about it, the more it seemed like a great idea. So here we are at Daytona. Now, this February in Daytona, at driver introductions, it was Tony Stewart who said, hey, how about a dirt track race? And he'll loan you the dirt track. Oh, Mark Martin.
Yeah, his woes continue. He's off course one more time.
So yeah, right now he's in the 9th position as we talk. A make or break race for Mark Martin tonight.
So you never know what we might see in the future for Crown Royal Iroc.
And Tony has just the dirt track race that he'd love to see one at.
Right now he's got a mirror full of Max Pappas as they go up on the banking for the final time. Stewart and Pappas are the only drivers to lead tonight.
What a night for Tony Stewart.
And Sam Hornish gives up 3rd place, slowing in turn 2. He's back to, well, 5th. That was Ryan Newman going by, and see if Hornish can hang on and get a finish here. Scott Sharp has gone by, yep, for 4th.
Now Hornish has a little bit of cushion behind him now, trying to hang on to this top 5 finish.
Tony Stewart looking for his 4th Iroc victory. If there's a form of racing Stewart can't master, we haven't seen it. IRL champion, Rolex 24 Hours, NASCAR Nextel Cup champion, and a winner again in Crown Royal Iroc.
Back-to-back wins, one at Texas, now he wins here.
And how impressive was it, Larry? In less than 2 laps, he charged through the field and was a contender for the lead.
But remember, he will leave here with a points lead, so at Atlanta, guess where they'll have to start? Dead last again.
Max Pappas led 3 laps. He's the runner-up tonight. Ryan Newman 3rd, Scott Sharp, Sam Hornish. And at the start-finish line, Max Angelelli edged Frank Kimmel for 7th place. Tony Stewart will head for victory lane in a minute. So will we. The Royal Iroc Series is presented by Crown Royal. Be a champion, drink responsibly. 20 laps and the 20 car will head to victory lane. As Tony Stewart, a winner at Michigan in 2001, Daytona 2002, Texas in 2005, and goes back-to-back in Crown Royal Iroc 30. Stewart, who's had a long day of practice in both his NASCAR Busch Series car and his Nextel Cup car, may be disappointing all those folks lined up at the start-finish line along the fence, hoping that Tony might go for a climb before going to victory lane. A lot of orange t-shirts there. But instead, he'll roll straight into Gatorade victory lane.
Get a feeling Tony is a tired man. He's been in a race car a lot today.
A slug of water, and Matt Yoakum's right there.
And he scores a big win, 4th in International Race of Champions. and a big one here on the road course. Smoke, this place is special for a lot of people. You picked up your first road course win. How special to you?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, Jay's ignoring all their staff, and especially Jay Sauter and the guys that came and set these cars up. It was just an awesome day, and got 5 laps of practice, and that's enough, I guess. So it was fun. I mean, I knew on the start to watch out in turn 1. The guys told us to watch out because the brakes would be cold, and so we just left it a little early, and everybody started wrecking. So we got up to about 4th real quick and got to 3rd, and just kind of worked our way forward, and just tried to run smooth laps after that, and just try to hold off everybody on restarts.
A huge day in the championship point standings, looking toward that $1 million payday in Atlanta.
8th in Daytona, 1st in Texas, and 1st in Daytona. Tony Stewart has a 15-point lead on Matt Kenseth.
Matt Kenseth's got a little work to do in Atlanta here in a few weeks.
And guys, I don't think starting in the back is really going to hurt him in Atlanta.
Stewart, who owns 5 road course wins in Nextel Cup, picks up the checkered flag in Daytona. Don't forget the final round of Crown Royal Iroc is in Atlanta in October. We'll see you there. For Matt Yoakum, Jeff Hammond, Larry McReynolds, Mike Joy congratulating Tony Stewart, winner of round 3 of Crown Royal Iroc 30.